Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. Welcome in one and all of this wacky crew. Oh my. I wish you all could see the myriad of faces, those of you listening, the folks that are here with us today. Let's start with you. Myra J., how are
How are
you?
you? I am doing just wonderful, and I hope everyone out there listening and viewing is doing just as great as I am, which
I
means
hope
I'm
that
full of
too.
it.
Yeah.
Still full of it right now.
Young Quinn, are you okay?
I'm good. I drove up to Charlottesville, Virginia to watch the game UVA versus JMU, and
Oh,
JMU won.
wow.
That was my first football game like ever. I saw a Bears game.
Really?
I think my dad took us to one game. He was a baseball fan. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I was kind of just like, ooh, score. Like go.
Wow.
Like
I love it.
what? It was good.
You're
She
in the
UVA
school
cool.
spirit, huh?
Yeah, I'm just trying things outside of my comfort zone. I was the only one in all black and like black sunglasses, and everybody else was wearing like gold and
Wearing
gray.
a full brim hat and
Just really trying to be
top.
incognito because I didn't want any of my students to see me. And I was with another friend. But it was really cool. And it rained. It was a nice time.
Oh, a nice fall day there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of nice and fall, hello, Stephen Hill. How are you?
NSYNC's back together, so I'm doing pretty darn fine today.
Well, we're going to expect an in-sync report from you because that's,
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, okay. All
100%.
right, cool.
This makes my day.
Speaking of football games, did you go see the Washington Magics play on Sunday?
The Washington Magic's hilarious. I
Yeah,
hadn't heard that
yeah.
one.
I like that
No, I
name for
watched
the
it.
team.
I did. I watched it from the comfort of my YouTube TV. YouTube TV
Ah,
didn't get me for the Direct TV that I'm sorry, got me for the Sunday Ticket Direct that Direct TV used to have.
mm-hmm.
I figured I would help YouTube with their I think it's $5 billion debt
Yeah, yeah, right.
for that.
That was
So
very nice of
so
you.
yeah, we're 1-0. I'm happy. Magic's happy. Love it.
Hmm.
That's great. That's great. For those of you who don't know, Stephen Hill is not the, if not one of the number one fans of the Washington Commanders football team. And I was wondering if you were making that trek, but I know a
Next
lot of
week,
people.
next week, the wife and I are going. Not
Awesome.
this Sunday, but the next Sunday. My wife, because she's awesome and wants to support me, we're going to the game.
That's wonderful. That is
Well, let me
absolutely
just
lovely.
interject that the Falcons won. I don't know how many times I get to say that, so I just need to say it right now. The Falcons, and this is the first time, even though it's preseason, the first time they won the first game in 6 years.
It's not preseason. This is a
It's
good thing.
regular season
It's real
now.
season now. It's a
It
real
is
thing.
real season.
It's
It's a
for
real
real,
thing.
for
It's a real
real.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Well, where the heck? Oh, because I've been out of
Just,
town.
just
You've been out of the
I've
country.
been out of the country. I'm like, well, when did they start football without
you've
me?
been out
Okay.
tanning. You've
Well,
been
we
out
are
tanning.
officially 1-0. Okay.
Well, from what I understand, the
Yeah.
Chicago Bears, of whom I'm not supporting, or any NFL team this year, I understand that they started and they did not know that there was a real game, apparently, from the way that they played, from what I understand. So hopefully something will come out of the season. I'm not sure what it will, but we'll see what happens. So I am still, pulling for Colin, and I know you can tell me how foolhardy my hopes and dreams are, especially when the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers in the first four plays
Yes. 4 plays in.
Monday night, and went out with a torn Achilles and is out for the rest of the season. The $260 million man, and Jamel Hill said, "Well, I hear that there's a guy in Jersey who's got a pretty good arm, and his name rhymes with Kaepernick." Just saying. So I don't hold out much hope for this league in bringing Colin Kaepernick back, but we shall see. What do we know? What do I know? I'm just a little girl from the south side of Chicago believing in the dreams that a black man can get a job in the NFL. All right. So let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we have a variety of stories for and about Black people as they reflect in the storytelling for the most part. There's some stories that are overall general public and do not point out a lot of that, but that's what we try to do is to super serve the African American community. Our young contributors do a great job of that. Kwynn Townsend Riley is our LGBTQ plus contributor. Her big brother Cameron is a political contributor. Coy Malone is our social justice contributor, and Aprilette Russell is our mental health and wellness contributor. So check out their stories. And if you would like to subscribe, we'd love to have you. Please go to SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and we will have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, first thing. Young Kwynn, let's start with you. And in your effort to super serve our community with information, please tell us about a California school district and a forced outing policy.
Yeah, so this is a developing story that I wrote about 2 weeks ago, I believe, in terms of the California school district that proposed this outing policy where they are forcing teachers and staff to out students. And by outing them, I mean they're going to call the parents of said child if the child is asking to be called a certain name, or using different pronouns than what they use at home, if they're asking for a chest binder, any of these things. So force outing these students to the parents. A California judge, has issued a temporary restraining order on this policy. And as I said, the policy will require schools to inform parents if a student requests to use a name or a pronoun different from their gender listed on the official records. The concern, this is Judge Thomas Garza in an oral ruling. He said the concern is, how do we safeguard these students that identify as LGBTQ? And in my view, it's a situation that's singling out a class of protected individuals differently than the rest of the students. He issued the restraining order out of an abundance of caution. The ruling came only after a week of Attorney General Rob Bonta, I think it's Bonta or Bonta, announced a lawsuit to challenge the enforcement of the policy, which Bonta has said infringes on several state protections safeguarding students' civil and constitutional rights. The Chino Valley Unified School District Board of Education serves about 26,000 students, and it recently adopted a mandatory gender identity disclosure policy that requires schools to tell parents if a student asks to use a name or pronoun that's different than what is listed on their birth certificate or other official records. And the policy was met with protests from both sides. So students that were in favor of this actual outing policy and students that opposed that policy. Transgender people make up only 0.5% of the adult population in California. However, teenagers make up almost 2% of the population, according to the University of California, and that's ages 13 through 17. And so, as we've talked before, schools with inclusive policies that protect and affirm transgender youth identities are associated with positive mental health and academic outcomes. And this is according to the Society for Research and Child Development. And as of now, there are 14 states that have policies where schools are forcibly outing trans students. So that's 14 so far. I hope it stays that number and lower.
Got it.
What are they trying to achieve by that, right? And I want to get away. They're not trying to achieve embarrassment or anything else, but there's an attempt to achieve something. What do you think that thing is?
I feel like they are trying to involve, or at least like uplift, because there are organizations, parents' rights organizations, that feel as if the parents do not have rights over their children, and children that are deciding to be trans. And I feel as if with this outing policy, they're trying to involve the family in what the school district believes is a permanent decision if a child decides to use different pronouns, or if they are considering gender variation. The fact is that if a child uses different pronouns, because we talked about the difference between like a social transition and a medical transition. Medical transition includes hormone-related therapy, surgery, the whole nine. Social transition is like just using different pronouns, different name, possibly a chest binder or something like that. Those are not permanent things, and that also should be the right of the child. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Are we defining children by under 21, under 18, or what's the age? Do we know?
This is a high school. So this is ages 13 through 17.
So does that include, when you say changing the pronoun, if they use they or them?
Mm-hmm.
And that warrants a call to the parents saying, young Kwynn doesn't want to be known as she or her, just they or them.
Yes.
Thought you should know.
They are going to call the parents if the child is requesting anything that is different than the gender identification on their birth certificate.
Wow.
And this is against the child's, action. So they could be putting the child in danger. They could be, having the
Yeah, no
child
telling what's going on in that
distract.
house. Right.
Right. So it's just like, and then again, these are 14 states who have these type of policies according to their school district.
And this is a policy that would mandate that type of communication or allow that type of communication. Which one?
Mandate.
From what I read. Yeah. I thought it was kind of funky.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Are there any other types of communications like that? They're mandated, like if a kid gets in trouble, that has to be done, or if they take a sport, are there mandated conversations around other things besides gender? I always believe that something happens, like someone has an idea, even if it's I don't believe it or it's misplaced, and I'm struggling to find this one. I'm struggling to find what even the idea I can be against
it
this.
sort of reminded me of the birth control thing. Like, if your child wanted birth control, they would call the parent and say, your child is asking for condoms, or your child is asking, for some sort of birth control. And it was like, well, obviously they didn't ask for it at home, and I'd rather for them to get it at school than not get it at all.
Yeah, I would think when it comes to mandating, I felt like school officials had to do it in a situation where they felt as if the child was in danger, or there's anything relation to like the child's safety. So it's very interesting that they're outing children thinking that they're protecting them, but it's just like, what are you protecting them from? And
right.
That's a great way of putting it. Is illumination, right? Because if they're
There's
in
certainly
danger,
no
you should
safe
reach
place.
out. If otherwise, it's part of natural social development. I got it now. Oh yeah, got it. Boo, boo, boo.
And there's no such place as a safe place anymore. The libraries are not safe for your children to go and get knowledge because those books have been removed. Fort Worth libraries, an example of that, or any other southern school district where they are taking books out of the library because they don't feel that they are safe for their children to read. What is safe anymore? What does that mean to anyone, without being a tattletale, without taking over the control of one's life? When young people are at a stage, 13 to 17, they're at a stage where they are learning to step up and mandate for themselves, to make it known who they are and what they're about.
Yeah. I think this whole educational agenda with all these book bans and stuff, I don't know if folks are fighting for safety or if they're just fighting for control. And I
Right.
think that's what I'm fearful of, is like, what, why? I'm considering like why now, but I'm also contemplating of like, did folks see this coming, a couple of years ago?
I
When
think they did, Quinn, and I think that just as they've been working for the last 50 years to do away with a woman's right to her body, they've also been working on this. With the legalization of gay marriage, they also said we can't not do this, and we've got to start in the schools and shut it down and nip it, as Barney Fife would say, nip
Nip
it
it
in
in
the
the
bud.
bud.
It just seems that simple. Unfortunately, just that simple. Among the other items that we have in this newsletter, every week we have a something from the Black and Missing Foundation, and sadly today is about a young woman by the name of Chakara Marie Lopez Moore, age 15 or 16 years old. 16. She's been missing since August 25th from Rochester, New York. A biracial female, and giving her description there, last seen, what she was wearing. And I am finding more of these stories now, with the parents saying, I'm afraid that my child has been taken and has been put into a sex trafficking channel. And she would seem to be a beautiful young girl who would fit that narrative. And unfortunately, meeting people online and being swept up, and whatever your life is like at home, but somebody tells you that you're beautiful. They're 16 years old too, and the next thing you know, they're taken away. But this is and it could be, somebody we don't know. But I'm just saying that there seem to be a lot of stories these days about young people and being kidnapped and put in sex trafficked.
Mhm.
So please take a look at Jakara's photo and the information. If you have seen her, please go to the Black and Missing Foundation and website and let them know. And let's bring Jakara home to safety. One of the other things that talk about in the newsletter was our federal government dollars at work, and certainly with the country ready to shut down, a federal government shutdown just days away, September 30th. What do the Republicans come back to? And after a very extensive summer break, the House Speaker of the House comes back and says, yeah, we'll get to that. But let me tell you what we really want to do. We want to move ahead with an inquiry to impeachment of Joe Biden. And it's based on allegations, not facts, but allegations of his behavior from the investigation we've been conducting on his son.
Mhm.
Got it?
Mhm.
And people are still scratching their heads, and now people are just and saying, "What in the world?" Well, his job is at is really at a teetering point, because he made a deal with the devil back in January. Remember when it took 15 rounds
Mhm.
of voting for him to get this job, and the very conservatives and the Trump supporters especially said, "We will vote for you if you go along and with our will." And one of those things is, if we don't like what you're doing, one person can initiate a vote to have your job taken away from you. And yes, Myra.
Remember back in the day when politics was so boring and they actually talked about policy. When was the last time you actually heard either sit down and talk about policy? I don't even know what their freaking policy is.
They don't
Everybody
have
is
one.
just
Yeah,
anti.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Everybody's against something, and and
Mhm.
and what and what about working together collegiately and as
Getting something
colleagues
done.
to get something done? I mean, they can't even work with the Senate because the Senate's like, we're not with you." The Republicans in the Senate are like, we got our stuff together. We're trying to get the government, trying to get this short term cooperation done, so that we can at least kind of kick the can down the road to November and keep the government working, so that we don't put all our government workers out of jobs, especially as we get closer to the holidays and kids are back in school, and your money is needed there. We want to keep money, and we want to keep our Capitol Police working. Those that they tried to kill and put out of work, put out of their misery. All of these things are necessary. So even McConnell was able to say, I'm not with you. And he is the Senate Minority Leader, and doesn't have a lot to say, but he did manage to say, no, this is not what we're about. And they don't ask me how to run, to the House, and I got no words for them. Let's just get to work. But as things are kind of, teetering on the edge of, on the precipice of disaster, their answer is to go with these these. I already made a Barney Fife reference. I'm going to go one step further with the Andy Griffith Show, and these guys who are more like the Darling Brothers from the Andy Griffith Show, and not Mensa candidates. So I'll just leave it there. But we do talk about that, as well as the efforts to stop Cop City in the city of Atlanta. This is where the state of the art fire department and police department training areas are said to be, and a lot of people don't like it. And they have amassed over 100,000 signatures, and now the city is saying, nope, we're not even going to validate them.
Well,
Um,
being fully transparent, though, they did say the deadline for that was August 19th. That's
but they did have an extension, did they not? Because that's what we were
but,
reporting.
well, they had said they had missed the extension deadline. That's what they said on the news yesterday here. They had
So
missed the deadline.
So the original deadline was in August, and then they asked for an extension, which came in September, and they missed that deadline.
That's that's my understanding.
Okay, okay.
That's
Well, we'll
yeah,
we'll we'll
yeah,
check on that
yeah.
because what's fair is fair. If they asked
Right.
for it and they still didn't make the extension, then something has to be done. But a lot of people they missed the August 21st, and then on September 1st, the appellate court halted the enforcement of the extended deadline,
Mhm.
creating legal uncertainty and inciting distrust.
They
You
also
got to
have actions throughout the nation. Like Chicago had a
yeah.
solidarity action. There was a Virginia solidarity action. And I don't know if you remember the No Cop Academy campaign by the young people of Asada's daughters. These are like 9 through like 15-year-old girls who took their petition to like the CTA red line to try to get enough signatures so that Lori Lightfoot would bring the cop and police training academy over to the West Side. I believe
Hmm.
they brought it
Yep.
anyway. Shout out to
Yep.
all the organizers because this is like really, really big. And I'm
This
proud of
is big, and it has the potential to have a countrywide effect in the various communities,
you.
and even with those where you would suspect or would hope that the mayors would be standing in your favor and in an alliance with you, but not really.
Mhm.
It's time to move to the what's really going on. Our question of the day. This is National Positivity Day or Positive Thinking Day.
Mm.
So, my question to you all and those who are watching and listening, are you a half full glass kind of person? And if not you, who is the most positive person you know? And what are you positive about these days? And especially, I mean, we talk about all these bad news situations. What keeps you going? What keeps your positive spirits bubbling? And what do you say or do to get your positive self going? Would anyone like to go first?
I positively would not.
Okay. Well, let's go to Mr. Positive, Stephen Hill.
Yeah, you know what you want to know. Look. I don't know whether it's age, wisdom, lack thereof, because it could be that keeps me positive as well. But look, I've suffered with some people who have not been able to live for as long as I'd like for them to have.
Mhm.
Mm,
I value every day, and not every day is great, but I'm always going to believe that it's going to be better, right? Because I believe more than anything else, I believe in the goodness of the people that I have surrounded myself with and who I've been fortunate enough to be around. Um, I've been fortunate enough to have a career that I simply adore. Um, and I'm married to the best woman in the world. So like all of the, I just remind myself. It's not that I have to remind myself, but like this is all true. And I think look, I think I've been this way for a while. I've been very fortunate. I know people who aren't. I've been just been very fortunate to always be like glass is glass is not only full but
Running
drinking from the
over.
saucer from the cup runneth over. Right. That's
right.
pretty much the way my perspective has been. Even when stuff sucks, I know that it's not going to suck for long.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
And
I'm just
yeah.
I'm clear of that.
I
I'm sorry, Maya, go ahead.
I think that the saying is for me when you count your blessing, and we've all had those dark days, and I have gone look I've had bad situations, bad relationships. I done cried, slung snot at the wall, done all that. I have never ever woke up unhappy, ever. I
Mm,
don't care how I felt when I went to sleep. When I wake up in the morning, it's like a brand new day, new opportunity. Take it in. I love the sunrise. I absolutely freaking love it.
is it fair to say your joy cometh in the morning?
Always.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Always.
I
I
will
want to
say,
go to there. I want to
yeah,
go to there. That's
yeah.
not true to my like as joyful as I am. Mornings are when like anything heavy. It's like I got to fight through like all the heavy stuff that starts in my head in the
Hmm.
morning and go like, oh no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But when I
Mm.
wake up, it's like, God dang it. So,
Young Quinn, what do you think?
Yeah, I was trying to think the most positive person that I know because I feel as if I'm genuinely a hopeful person. I try to master the discipline of hope. And just like, Romans chapter 12, verse 12, I think that says like, be joyful in hope, but like patient.
Hmm.
And so I like, the whole allegory or illustration that talks about people are either coming out of storms or there's a storm coming to them. And I feel as if right now where life is at for me, like I definitely am coming out of one. So I'm in that like praise and worship type of moment. But knowing that something like life is always going to keep happening, I definitely have woken up unhappy because grief for me, I can go to sleep
Yeah.
easily, but grief like hits me so hard in the morning after I have lost a loved one or like coming out of a friendship or like whatever, because it's that new day without that person, like for me personally. But my most positive person, I have to say, is my friend Cece. She's also a Leo, Sierra Chavez. And I want to say she's positive because she's always happy, but she always, her emotions are just so consistent with me that I've never had a moment where I'm like, okay, ooh, like she kind of got an attitude. Like, ooh, she kind of,
Mhm.
always been, hey sis, you want some tea? Hey sis. Like it's just always that consistency, and in life irregular moments it feels good to just always have that person that stays the same, and
Right.
I'm grateful for her love with that. But yeah.
And I would say I have that person in Yolanda Starks White. She is the most positive person that I know. A little strange at times, but
Right.
always consistently. Why are you so happy? Because I choose to be,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just that
Yep.
simple. It's
Yep.
just that simple. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It really is, by the way, in ways, and I know things fight that all the time, but it really is a lot of times a decision. It's a
Mhm.
decision of how you're going to approach. You can't control the outside stimuli. You can control how you approach it. And if you continue to approach it positively, it'll just keep going that way.
Well,
Great.
I will
Wait,
say,
Yolanda and I agree. Yolanda and I agree on something?
I will say it's a choice, but also like I don't want to camouflage or like make thin of like mental health, and like also
Mhm.
folks like struggling or the inability to actually, have the serotonin to think differently. But just, for some folks it's a choice, but some folks, they need additional resources too.
Right, right. Yeah, and
I'm one
and
that does
and
both. I'm one that openly does both the additional resources and
Yeah.
the positive mindset. I think you're right. Together, when necessary, it helps greatly.
Hmm.
and a medicinal advantage too couldn't hurt. I mean, there's some people that need that as well.
And I will say, because she texted me, my girlfriend is also the most positive person that I ever met.
As a
You know, when you were
reminder,
saying that, I was wondering. I got
as a
something.
reminder.
It's not that Ashley isn't positive. She's just like my sports coach. Like I literally make fun of her all the time because she'll text me like motivation that sounds like a football coach. Like keep going, even in the rain. And it's like, what? What does that have to
Hey,
do with me feeling like shit? Like, but yes, Ashley's one of the most positive people.
Well,
So.
see, you got it all around you. Did you grow up with that, Quinn?
I feel as if I grew up in a very loving household, but I think being raised by a single mother, I also was introduced very early to the realities of society in
Mhm.
terms of my blackness and in terms of my womanness, where like, you could be all nice and stuff you want, but not all skin folk and kinfolk. Um,
Right, right,
just knowing that like all men don't deserve all of this, all women don't deserve all of this. Like you could be as nice as you want, but all of your neighbors aren't neighborly. Just like taking all the being a positive person doesn't always protect you from the unpositive things, and making
right,
sure to have that outlook, that lens, that praxis that's like, hey, like me being nice, is it going to protect me from violence that's going to happen like in my day to day? And so sometimes I feel as if my mom really had to protect her positivity to not have it come off as like naive, but
mhm,
also
mhm.
like having that hope and that commitment to God. It's like I know that everything's going to turn out all right. But I wouldn't say it was an overall like, hey, let's go out Chicago
Yeah, yeah.
Side. It was like, okay, you watching your brother's hands, like, okay, cool. Like, were you keeping track of your little sister? Did you do your homework? Like, it was just very productive, I'll say, but loving.
Yeah, but and my mommy said, do not confuse my positivity with my naivety or naivete, as she would say. And I think that's legitimate. I think because people say, oh, you're always so happy, you're just kind of carefree, and she's like, I've been through 4 husbands. I'm not that damn positive, but I do have a good, positive because, number 5 could be around the corner.
Right.
So, just live for the love. Just live for the love.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Let's see. We've got Steve Thomas on Facebook, and he says, "Glass half empty. Learning more about God keeps me going." All right, Stephen. Thank you so much for that. I can't wait for the journey to continue with you. Water Ice One. Amen. Skip. Trouble don't last always. Live a life of purpose. And are you doing that, H2O Ice One? Are you? Living a life of purpose, because I think that really does help too. Lynn Sell on YouTube. I'm a half full person. I know that every moment is a blessing, regardless of what's going on, and another moment is not promised. I'm grateful. That is so true. It's
You know,
absolutely true.
I've also been listening to the laws of attraction,
Hmm.
and I just really I really like it. I can relate to it. Sort of piggybacking on what Stephen Hill said, like happiness or positive, being positive. It's a choice, and you can't say if I had $10 million, I'd be happy. No, be happy,
Because
and then if
that.
if
um,
if that's if that's your future, that then it will come. We can't think that happiness is over there somewhere. Otherwise, you'll always be chasing happiness.
right. And
Mm.
looking
Choose
over in
to be
somebody
happy.
else's
Right,
yard,
right.
because the grass
Choose to
the
be
grass is
happy.
greener over there. There's
Right,
more money over there,
right,
and
right,
more money
right,
does not
right.
make one happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, and I appreciate this thought, but it doesn't flatter me at all. Like tomorrow's not promised. I'm going to go with like, you know what? I am going to go with yes, tomorrow's promised. That's how I'm going to operate. And then one day I'm gonna be wrong. But
In the
but
meantime,
I will have 10,000 rights and one wrong. So I'm
mhm,
just going to like you just got to
Right.
assume like I'm
Yeah.
mhm,
going to assume yes tomorrow's promised and
mhm.
if I'm wrong, oh well.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna hesitate or escape because tomorrow's not promised. It's gonna be like let's go get this. Tomorrow's
Yeah.
not promised.
While we can.
Look, let me tell you something about our old boss, Sybil. Back in the day, I was, I'm really hustling, blah, blah, and I really wanted a Mercedes Benz. I had never owned a Mercedes, and I was telling Tom, I said, and I'm saving my money, and I'm gonna get a Mercedes. He says, Mark, can you afford a Mercedes? I said, yes, but I'm disciplining myself because I want to lose 25 pounds. And when I lose 25 pounds, I'm gonna get a Mercedes. And he said, once you get behind the wheel of a Mercedes, you look 25 pounds thinner. And I went out bought my Mercedes. He's like, well, let me go get it then.
Go today. That's funny. That was very funny. Here we go. Aubrey W on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm sorry. The positive person I admire is my old high school teacher. She encouraged me and gave me the drive to attend college and get my degree, especially when I felt like giving up. There's nothing like that person who is there in your lowest of lows, in your as well as your highest of highs, but there to show you that you can do it. Come on. All you need to do is get up. Just keep getting up, because if you don't get up, then you'll just be sitting there going, "Oh, woe is me." But you get up and you prove yourself wrong. And having someone there with you, that means a lot. Stop going by the manufactured lives in Instagram and
Instagram and
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, that's Annie W on YouTube. I,
Mhm.
I think there's a lot to that, and it has a lot to do with our young people, especially having these ideas of what a great life is for them, because of the stars and those that tell you you can lose 25 pounds overnight, and have this kind of boyfriend and or girlfriend or whatever it is, if just like me. But you knock on that door and you open it, and the house of cards falls in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Unfortunately, I think that social media has that way of doing it. So, Yolanda, if we have a couple more, let's close out with those. Or AJ Mine plus 4 on YouTube. My parents always reminded me, as long as there's something in the glass, there's still something in the glass. I love that.
Yeah.
I'll
Bravo,
drink to
bravo.
that.
Yeah, 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 and or the water bottle. Just just a second.
There you go.
Mhm.
Cheers to that. Thank you guys for participating. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And Yolanda, thank you for your positivity. I appreciate that as well. And
me
for
too.
you all bringing your positivity to all of this. So
Mhm.
let's move to trending topics. And some of these stories today, just crazy. I was up this morning and I was working on some a news product, and was doing the story about this the guy that's been missing, been on the run for 2 weeks, and then later this morning they announced that he had been caught.
Mhm.
The escape artist who crab legged himself up the wall in the prison in Pennsylvania, uh, jumped over some barbed wire fence, and on the run, the 34-year-old Brazilian was captured. He had just been sentenced to for a murder that he committed. His name is Danilo Cavalcante. 2 weeks he had been on the run, captured by the Pennsylvania police, and
And
the
Rin
34.
Tin Tin,
I'm sorry.
and Rin Tin Tin, the dog.
And the canine,
Yes,
yeah, don't forget that.
the dog.
He led police on a dramatic 2-week chase. I mean, you would see ring photos of him. Yeah, you would see when he was first scruffy coming out of jail. And then he cleaned himself up, stolen some clothes, got and stole a man's rifle while a man
Yep.
was sitting there in his garage. Well, I don't know why you're sitting in your garage when you got an escaped convict out there, but okay, whatever, blows your skirt up, Papa. And he says that he shot at the escaped prisoner, but didn't hit him. But the prisoner had the rifle, which made him not only dangerous, but armed and dangerous. Well, he
Mhm.
was escorted out of the Pottstown station today in the hands of heavily armed cops who loaded him into an armored car and took him away. And it was really like a slow speed chase that you see on television, because they followed him all the way along the interstate there. His face was battered and bloodied after being routed out from a wood pile this morning, and walked with his wrists and ankles cuffed, his feet bare on the pavement. People were stopping their cars. They were filming and cheering as he was led away. And as you mentioned, Myra, the canine sniffed him out, discovered him lying in hiding with a stolen 22 caliber rifle at his side, then chased him down as he tried to escape. And the dogs got him, but good. And everybody wants a dog like that.
Yeah.
The
He got a
lieutenant.
little nip. He took a bite out of crime.
Yeah, he really
Nah.
did. McGruff, for sure. He said he was stopped after the police dog bit him as he tried to crawl away from the police, and more than 400 law enforcement. This was almost like, what are you people doing? I don't know what it takes to find someone who's been missing for a day, for 5 days, for 10 days, for 2 weeks, but it was almost like the Pennsylvania Police Department were almost the laughing stock for a lot of people, and people were wondering if he was being helped by someone. Um, but they said that the fear was that his former coworkers, that he would come to their homes and that he would force them into helping him, because he did get the use of a van at one point.
Mhm.
But this massive search did come to an end. The man, described as extremely dangerous, had no other choice but to, once the dog had him in the grips of his mouth, there was no other point to fighting this. But the mother, this is really interesting. They used his mom's voice to try to smoke him out. She was speaking Portuguese, they're from Brazil, and to say, give up, please, don't go, trying to be a hero or whatever, and all of this while they were, having her voice heard all over the place. And his sister was really mad, saying, he's okay and leave him alone. So he had different sides of the family support, but the mother said he was in prison for killing his ex-girlfriend. Right, he stabbed her to death. His mother now says he had no other choice than to kill the ex-girlfriend. His mother blamed her for her own murder in an interview in the New York Times. She said, "Did it happen? It happened, but it happened because of the stranglehold she put on him, the stand she took." And apparently, she was holding over him that he had killed someone else.
In Brazil or something, right?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Brazil. And
Mhm.
so he, in order to get her to shut up, and the mother said if she hadn't held that over his head, she would still be alive.
Yeah.
Okay, mom. But that doesn't make it right, does it?
No.
Just,
It's
but
all in
she
the
said,
positioning. So it's all in the positioning because that's actually a true statement. Had she not hold over, she'd still be alive. The challenge is you're like, he had to kill her. He had to
right,
kill her.
right. He had
That
no
don't make no sense.
choice.
That makes no sense.
No. No.
Well, they got him back. So the question is,
Good,
will he go
good.
back to the place where he escaped from, or will they find a more secure prison for him to live?
No, actually, I think where he's housed now, that's where he's going to be, because they weren't taking him back. He was scheduled to be transferred anyway when
Uh
he
huh.
made a run for it. So they're like, okay, we're just going to take you to the big house now.
Where
And
you were supposed to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
did I read that he was only 5 feet tall?
Yeah. He's a little thing.
He's like a little squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how he was able to just kind of walk, his way up
Yeah, that's
and
why I
and,
was like, I said
and
he wasn't but this big.
yeah. Yeah, he's just like you just hold him by his head as he's doing this, and he's like, come on. But you know, but you don't know what
Wow.
kind of strength those little guys have. This is really horrible. This is a case of a 14-year-old boy, a white boy, has been charged with allegedly trying to drown a black teen in a Cape Cod pond while calling him racial slurs, and another white boy laughing and calling him George Floyd because he couldn't breathe. His name is John Sheeran. He appeared in a Boston area court this week after being indicted by a grand jury on charges of attempted murder and assault with a dangerous weapon over the July attack. The 15-year-old alleged victim said that Sheeran and another boy, who has not been identified or charged, threw rocks at him as soon as he arrived to meet them that day at this pond in Chatham, Massachusetts. When he was forced to get into the water, he put a life jacket on because he couldn't swim. Sheeran then swam out to him, yanked him down under the water 4 or 5 times, calling him the N word, according to the affidavit. The alleged victim yelled for Sheeran to stop because he couldn't breathe. That's when they started calling him George Floyd. The other boys laughing, calling him George Floyd, obviously making fun of him and showing no remorse, the accuser wrote in the police report. A witness, who was also a minor, told police he heard the boy ask Sharon to please not splash or push him because of his inability to swim, and that he saw Sharon and the other boy pushing his head underwater while he was screaming for help. 14, 15 years old.
That's so sad.
The 14-year-old Sharon has been charged as a youthful offender, meaning his court proceedings are open to the public and he can be sentenced as an adult if convicted.
Okay.
Wait,
I
he's being
like that.
charged as a youth?
He's being charged as a youth, but if convicted, he can be sentenced as an
Oh,
adult.
good. I'm glad.
He left his bail hearing with his father and a new GPS monitoring device.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna
Wow.
learn today.
Okay. Wow. What are we teaching our children? Mm. Mitt Romney is teaching us that when it's time to go, he understands, and he has made his announcement. The Republican senator from Utah announced that he will not seek reelection. He says, and which is what they're encouraging a lot of the older politicians to say. Frankly, it's time for a new generation of leaders. Romney, who is 76, uh, over the last several years, of course, he ran against Barack Obama at one point in 2012, and he's distinguished himself in the last years of the Donald Trump administration as one of Trump's few outspoken Republican critics. And he said it was age in announcing his decision, implicitly contrasting himself with his even older colleagues, such as Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein, who is still struggling with some frailties in the United States Senate. What do you
You
think?
know what? I don't have a problem with him leaving, be it age or any other reason, but I do question: is it really his age, or is he leaving because he's not going to get reelected?
Well, Utah is kind of an independent state in that respect, and it could be
Mhm.
Myra. It could
Yeah,
be, and especially
that's what
because
I
I
think.
don't know. I I but I like the fact that he is pointing to the fact that he's 76. By the time he finishes, he'll be in his mid 80s, and
Mm.
he's not sure, and he wants to be able to. I know his wife has had some health challenges, and he wants to be able to enjoy their time together.
Well, my,
So my
my,
question would be, so what, because it seems to be a problem for both parties,
Hmm.
what in this system is preventing younger folks from emerging, right? What in the system is making it so we only depend on these folks? What about our psyche makes us feel like we need old white men to govern? I mean, I think there's a whole
I
bunch of
know.
questions. I think I'm fascinated, but I'm fascinated. But here's the thing: but you're going to vote for Biden. Like you're going to vote for Biden, and the
And
challenge is the challenge is no one. It doesn't feel like there's any young person on either side or in another side that is coming close to being someone who emerges. I'll say in the next 10 years. I could be wrong. Nikki Haley is the look. I think Nikki Haley is the biggest is the best shot against Trump. Right? I have no idea how old she is.
She's
I could
50.
I could go ask Don Lemon. I'm sure he'd know.
Well, because she's not in her prime for sure, right?
Uh, but there's something that's disturbing that there was always the young understar under like Clinton was young when he came through. Carter
Clinton,
wasn't young but
Kennedy,
youngish,
Obama, yes.
right? They were all young, and it
Mhm.
feels something about this system. I don't know if it's social media, I don't know what it is, but it makes it feel like there's no, I'm not cheering for DeSantis, but DeSantis is at least not the old curmudgeonly
But
white
he
guy that we're
acts
going
like old
to have.
curmudgeonly.
I get that. I could not agree more. So anyhow,
Let me say this. One of the things that's different nowadays, I think, for people to come forth because of social media,
Hmm.
people will follow you and will tear you up and cancel you in a heartbeat because of something you did last night or something you did 7, 8 years ago, which may not even be anything major, but they will blow it up and then you are eliminated. Does anyone want their entire background exposed out to the public when you want to come forth and serve the people? Do I want to sacrifice myself? Do I want to sacrifice my family by our history being put out there on public display? Because
great point.
it's not just you, it's your mom, it's your brother, it's your cousin, you know? So many people I think may want to serve, but said, you know what, I can do something else. I can vote. So they
Quinn,
don't want to be
what
out there.
And
Quinn, what if the governor of Virginia, Northam, were to come to you and say, "Young woman, I'm a Republican, you are a communist, but I like the way you think. I like the way you are working in the school system as a university professor. I want you to come and work on my campaign. And if we are successful, I will put you in a position to continue and improve and go up the ladder on your career." I think that's what's missing, Stephen Hill. I don't know that they are mentoring the way, I don't know that they are bringing in young people in their campaigns, into their offices to do these things. And maybe they are, and the kids get in there and say, "This is a dirty business. I don't want to have anything to do with that."
that's what I
But
said. I
then,
think there's lots of gatekeeping. I think there's lots of gatekeeping. I think a lot of people want to hold on to what power they have, what territory they have, what wisdom they have, because what knowledge they have. If they disseminate that knowledge, if they disseminate that wisdom, they feel as if they no longer are valuable, or at least like they will start to feel replaceable. And like, let's be honest, like everybody is replaceable, and that's like that's a humility thing. We have to release the ego and
Mhm.
accept that like all of us are actually replaceable. And then once
mhm,
we accept that, or at least like relinquish the fact that like, okay, I know I'm doing this role good, but there really could be somebody else who could do better, that could be like younger than me. Like I would like to see like Cory Booker, like I would like to see him run. I would like to see AOC run. I would like to see any of these people run. But I think
Hakeem
also like
Jeffries, I
seeing
like him.
how, yeah, like just seeing how
Mhm.
people like react to young folks. And I think like folks that have these different ideas, I don't know if like maybe it could be like the lack of voters, if we have like younger voters actually increase in numbers too. But I think it's just lots of gatekeeping. I don't know if people actually feel supported if they want to do it, because I'm pretty sure there's behind the scenes conversations like with Biden and whoever, and maybe somebody was just like, yeah, I'm thinking of running, and Biden was probably like, yeah, bro, no, don't do that, we need
Wait
to
your
get
turn. But Biden was one of those young guns. That's what we have to remember, and he has to remember too, that he barely made the age uh, requirement to be in the United States Senate when he was elected. He was not yet the age that you needed to be at the time, and his birthday happened to come, and as he was after his election. So all of these things, not necessarily for the good, but sometimes you got to be reminded that it's time to step away.
yeah.
What do you all know about peripheral artery disease, or PAD? It is described as the narrowing of the peripheral arteries that carry blood away from the heart to other parts of the body. The most common type of lower extremity PAD, in which blood flow is reduced to the areas including the buttocks, the legs, and the feet. In extreme cases, it can lead to amputation. We give you facts every day in the What You Need to Know newsletter about PAD, and we ask you to join us next Thursday, September 21st, for an informative show with an American Heart Association expert. That's September 21st here in this time. So please join us and learn something, as we all are learning about PAD. It's time for entertainment, and Stephen Hill, I have given you the plum assignment to talk about the return of NSYNC. What do you know? What you got? What's the word? What's the
Don't
hat?
know anything. All I know is that they were all on there. Let's see if I can name them. Joey,
Mm-hmm.
Fatone, JC Chazes, what's the guy? Justin Timberlake, um, Chris Kirkpatrick, and Lance Bass. Got it. NSYNC. Look, NSYNC, as you know, was one of the biggest boy bands ever. Got together for the MTV Awards, I think
Mhm.
almost 10 years ago, to do a short version of Bye 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 as Justin Timberlake was being honored. They walked on stage last night. They weren't matching. They were matching in style, but not necessarily in suits.
Right.
And when a shocked Taylor Swift asked, as she received the award, they were giving to her. She won the award. It's like, there's got to be something going on. And
Right.
they sheepishly went, I don't know,
Hmm.
could be. So anyhow, look, I've said here and other places, once you're a boy band, once you're inside someone's head as a boy band,
Hmm.
you will live there for the rest of their lives. I've gone to see New Kids on the Block in the last year, and it's great watching 50-year-old women act like they're 14-year-old girls.
Right.
Right? Same thing happens on the new edition. If you saw the New Edition Culture Tour, they're acting like Candy Girl just came out, and it's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful positive energy, electricity. So I applaud that. Whether it's O Town, New Kids on the Block,
Oh,
B2K,
town. Wow.
Jackson 5, whatever it is. So I look forward to whatever they have coming up. And by the way, the VMAs were dope last night.
Pretty dope, huh? Okay.
Shout out to my
Cool.
friend Ebony Williams. She used to be known as she's the black woman in
Real
if you
Housewives.
like it, then you put a ring on it. The Beyonce's
Oh,
video.
right. Uh-huh.
She's the black one in there. She's now a choreographer, and she choreographed Doja Cat's awesome execution last night. So
Oh.
shout out
Oh,
to
so
Ebony.
it's not
Shout out to
Ebony
Ebony.
K. Williams. Got it. Okay.
No,
Okay.
different Ebony
Got it.
Williams.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Hmm?
Anybody else have any entertainment they'd like to share?
October 7th, I'll be hosting an event at the Ringer Center in the city of Stockbridge.
Is that
Yay.
in Georgia?
Yes, Stockbridge,
Oh, okay.
Georgia. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And,
We'll close it out. Yes.
one more. October 13th, J. Anthony Brown and myself will be in Brooklyn, New York.
Hey
All
now.
right. Boogie down.
And
Stephen Hill?
Shantae October 5th and 6th in New Orleans. I think there's an
Arlen.
Ash
You have to
Center.
say it right,
Yes.
Narland.
Knowledge. Should be in Knowledge.
Yes, yeah, baby.
Today's jewel is don't give up. Don't give up on love. You are worthy of pure, unadulterated love. Unadulterated love.
Oh,
Those words from Yolanda Starks, but I believe those are also the words that Stephen Hill lives by as well as he comes up on his first anniversary.
Hey now.
Hey now.
wait.
And you know that we've been very excited about the HBCU NY Classic coming up and want you to be there. If you can, take a look at this.
Get ready for an epic showdown on September 16th as Morehouse and Albany State take the field for the Toyota HBCU NY Classic at MetLife Stadium.
Football season is back, and this is the game you can't miss.
Join us for the world's largest HBCU homecoming to experience the thrill of HBCU culture like never before.
Enjoy the ultimate celebration with a pregame tailgate, battle of the bands, and an iconic halftime show.
Don't wait. Get your tickets now at hbcunyclassic.com.